When our scouts are out there looking and traveling and seeing games, it's important to part of it for us to make sure that the guys compete, drive play, get to the inside, and be hard to play against.
For you, your first round pick with Braden Coots, can you just talk us through why he's that guy and why he was your pick there?
Well, I had to take him for dinner. I guess everybody knew. Nothing's a secret, but great kid, leadership qualities. He skates well, he drives play hard, he goes to the inside. He's got skill to put the puck in and net or make plays. He plays the whole rink. Just doesn't play one end of the rink. He's a 200-foot player and a real good person.
Red Lobster, or where'd you take him?
No, I don't think he likes seafood. I think he's a steak guy. No, it was good. We had a good dinner, and it was good to chat with him. And I talked to him today, and said looking forward to seeing you when you get up here. And he had a good night with his family and friends, and it's a big day for them.
I know you weren't sure that you were going to have a first pick to use, and there have been some drafts recently where you haven't had much selection. Was this a fun draft for you and your staff to actually
have picks?
Have picks, and picks, and
yeah. I mean, we've talked before, and I think we put the list together like we have picks every year, and because you got to be prepared for everything. You never know what's going to happen on draft day, and it was good. Our guys put a lot of work into it, and it's their day. They go out and run the miles and watch these guys over and over again, and they've done a great job, and we're real happy.
You haven't been able to pick in the second round very often, but you got to today. Perhaps maybe you weren't expecting to go to goalie, but clearly this is a guy that is worth that. Well, tell us about.
Well, he's obviously he plays in London. Calm kid, big kid. Moves well in the net, and never seems to get rattled. And he has that presence in there that makes, I think, your team in front of you play a little calmer. But we thought he was our guy. We kind of targeted that, and it was a good pick.
Medvedev's from your neck of the woods, but what sort of role does Ian Clark or your just general goalie staff have in terms of shaping a goaltender pick, especially in the top 50?
Well, I mean, obviously Ian has a lot to say on that, and I think we look at the draft, and he wanted this pick, and we thought it was the right time, and Clarkie. He'll be in touch with the goalies, obviously, and I think we have a real good staff here for development and bring him along. And he's going to have the net next year in London, and probably, you never know. London, they always have a good team, so maybe they get back to the Memorial Cup.
In your time as director, I think the gap between picking a goalie, Ty Young in 2022 and this one, probably the longest that this team has gone. How do you sort of view it from just a volume perspective of getting bodies in net into your or?
Well, we're happy with the guys that we have, the way they're coming along, and I think you kind of look at when you pick the guy last, and sometimes you have to kind of step up, and I thought we did that today.
Is Bjork a center?
Yes.
So that's 4 centers out of 7. Is this almost like the reverse of that 2023 draft you had in Nashville, where you guys hit a bunch of D? This year you hit a bunch of centermen, and how did that specifically impact the Coots pick at 15? Given the sort of the wingers and the defenders that came right off the board thereafter.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's the defense and centers are hard to come by, and I thought today we kind of. We targeted that, and the way we put our list together it's kind of the way it happened, and we don't deviate really off our list. So those are the guys that were in the spot, and we ended up taking them.
Every year you seem to get a guy that's a bit more muscle than perhaps goals. Gabe Sherratt seems to fit that. So what's the motivation in picking a guy that doesn't necessarily have the numbers?
It's well, you said that about Mueller too.
Sure.
But I think at the end of the day, you watch him play. He had a really good second half, and started putting the puck in the net. He skates well. He plays a north-south hard game around the net, and those guys play in playoffs.
You had that too with your 7th rounder, who finished the year maybe stronger than he did in the first half. And then who's the gentleman that you picked out of the O last year? Not Romani, but the other kid.
Which one?
Patterson, who also had the same
Yep.
trend line. So
Yep.
do you look at that as maybe like a mid-season developmental curve that's maybe pointing upward?
100%. I mean, we want to see these guys improve throughout the year, and that's part of scouting, right? I think, sometimes it's not all going to be straight lines. Sometimes it's a little different for everybody. And when you see guys take steps in their game at the right time and start pushing, it almost is like the light goes off and they figure it out. And it's really good to see guys take steps like that throughout the season.
We know statistically after third round and certainly into the fourth, it's kind of a crapshoot, and you have about as much chance with any pick
Yep.
before, after that, or there or later. What was your thinking on Durbin? He was ranked by a lot of people lower than where you picked him.
That's okay.
Yeah, so.
It wasn't ranked by us like that. You know what? I watched him play, near the end of the year a few times and into the playoffs, and he's got good size. He's good, skates pretty well, can make plays and sees the ice well, and he's not afraid to play in traffic. And I thought I seen something there, and our guy in Ontario really liked him, and I thought it was the pick for us.
He's one of a few guys that's committed to go to the NCAA with, I guess, the new doors opening. I mean, is that something you guys focused on where their next couple seasons are going to be? Or
I think we talk about it, but I don't think that's a deal breaker. I think, we talk about everything in that room, and I think with him, he's going to go back to Kingston for another year, and he's going to have a big role there. And, I think he's going to have some good production. And, if he's going, I think Penn State, I believe it is, and, I think it's a good move by him, because it's not everybody gets there at the same time. Everybody's different, and this could be a good road for him.
Todd, primarily North American draft, other than York. Do you expect all the guys to be here for development camp?
We're working on that. Hopefully we get everybody in. That would be great. We'd like to get them in here and get them started and have our development staff, get with them and give them a plan for the season. And, I'm excited for them.
Has your work changed coming back to the NIL and the CHL kids being eligible? Has it changed your work in terms of like the bets you're placing based on the development path that a player can go on going forward? Has that modified your thinking on various guys?
That's a good question, because, we used to have 2 years with the CHL guys, and then you had 4 years with the European players and the USHL. So it makes it fair for everybody now. So it's kind of, it does change the way you look at things, and we're still trying to figure out how everything's going to work, but it's something that we talk about for sure.
With goalies, maybe even more so. I mean, it seems like that CHL window is just so short.
Yeah.
For goals.
Yeah, and then this helps, right? Obviously, I mean, but this guy's a good goalie. We're pretty happy with him, and I think that he's going to show next year that he's ready to take that load
Is that
on.
a preference to stay in this? Like, I know there are
Yeah,
college teams that
sure.
like him. Is the preference to stay in the CHL where you can get hands-on as well a little bit too?
I mean, I think you can get hands-on with guys pretty much anywhere, and I think that, for him to take the net in London next year and run with it, it's going to be big for him and his development for sure.
So if you take a step back, survey all that you accomplished last night to now, the 6 guys, what are you most pleased about? Not who, but just generally. You can tell us who if you like.
No, I am happy with every pick we've made. We made it for a reason. And, I love the fact that we have competitive people. We have good people and people that we want to be Vancouver Canucks. And I think that is the most important thing. You talk about, Coots, quality human being. And I think all the players that we've selected, our guys have done the work on them, and they're quality people, and that's important for us.
how about the format, just having everybody with you, your whole staff, everybody else that you have?
And for a long time.
But,
I knew that. Yeah.
But I mean, you get everybody in the room as opposed to having to pick who sits at the table.
Right, and I thought that was great. It was a little freer to be able to talk to each other, but we make it work at the tables. But I think our guys were a little more comfortable.
When it comes to this draft class, a lot of the same word that is brought up about the players you selected is annoying to play against or hard to play against. Is that something that you specifically targeted, those guys that are kind of annoying to deal with for the opposition?
Well, I think if you watch the playoffs, I think that's what happens when when the chips are down, and I think that's what we're trying to do here, is be annoying to play against, be hard to play against, and I think our players that we selected are that.
Is there a Todd Harvey in this draft?
Probably they're better than I am.
The third round pick.
Yeah.
Remind me of his last name again. Ian, I keep
Dervin.
I keep
Yeah.
wanting to say Dervish or something.
Yeah.
Dervin, the combine testing results for him jump off the page. When you're making a bet at that stage of the draft, where lists diverge and consensus fritters away, can you look at athleticism or athletic measurables or traits the same way that another team might look at a scoring profile or what have you, in terms of it just being the thing you're betting on fundamentally?
Sure. And you know what? We interviewed him, and I thought he did very well in the interview, and he has good head on his shoulders, and he knows what he is and where he needs to go, which is important. So they're young guys. They need to develop, and our staff here is going to help them get to that point. And with his frame, I think there's a lot to put on there.
With Bjork, is he? So he's a college commit.
Yep.
But he played Allsvenskan.
Yeah, a little bit up. Yep.
But was his path last season in any way guided by him going to college? He couldn't have played Allsvenskan. Like, it's not like with Tom, where he stayed in J20
Right.
to go to BU, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think, well, he played a few games in Allsvenskan,
10,
right? Yeah.
sure.
So, I think it's a good path for him, for sure. I mean, he played junior 20 and had a good year there, and obviously getting games with the big club, helped him. And I think it's a good spot for him in college, and he's only going to develop, and his game has really, started to go this way, and our guys were, real excited about him.
But it's not like, I'm just saying, he wasn't in J20 to avoid, so that he
No,
could go to college. Okay.
no,
Yeah.
I think, and obviously nothing matters anymore. Anybody can go anywhere. It's a Wild West. But that's I think that our guys did the homework on him, knew what his plan was, and we're real good with it.
You're comfortable taking reentry players? It's been, I think,
Yeah.
is it 3 or 4 in a row?
Yeah.
Because Glover and on and
Yeah.
on. How do you view sort of weighing those risks relative to, you have a guy like Medvedev who's one of the youngest players in
Yeah,
the draft, but
yeah.
you're also drafting some reentry guys?
I think it's more if their game has progressed. I mean, you got to look at the development part of it. Maybe you watch them a year before and they're not quite ready. Maybe it's strength. Maybe they haven't figured it out yet, what kind of player they are. And when guys take that step and you notice it, then it's an even playing field now for that kind of picks.
You mentioned some of the names of past years, name check Ty. How much pride do you take when you see Abbotsford do what they did with a lot of young bodies? What does that mean to your staff?
Yeah, our guys were really excited, and kudos to them. I mean, you look at some of the picks that were there. Our guys, kind of felt like part of it, and we're real excited to see them kind of go through that process of playoffs, and it might be, it's not the NHL, but it's a grind, and our guys we're real happy with our guys, the way they've kind of stepped in there and built a culture down there.
A guy that's like, yeah, I don't know my points. Like, how do you not know your points? You're either a liar or you don't give a shit, which is probably worse,
Shake them off. Thanks for taking the time to come and sit down and chat with me today.
Generational talent. Thanks for liking the video and subscribing.